So we are going to both start and end with your legs elevated. So you can use the chair, you can use the wall, you can use your couch or your bed, any other piece of furniture that you can rest either your lower legs on, right? So that your thighs are in the vertical, your lower legs and your ankles are resting on an elevated surface. And then you're back here. And you can elevate this too, right? As far as that goes, if you want to have your head a little bit inclined, you can put a little bolster right there, have a block and a blanket, and have your head a little elevated, your back and back of hips resting on the floor, and then your legs and your feet up on a chair. I am trying to be very cautious around an old stress fracture that seems like it's threatening to return. So I am going to stay off of my feet as much as possible, wear my boot, go back into my boot as often as I can tolerate it, and see if I can head that off. But I thought in that circumstance, we'd start and end with our feet up, right? So swelling, there's a little bit of swelling in the top of my foot, right where that fracture was. It's a little puffy. Get your legs up. Get your legs up. Let's start there. And then we'll do the rest. Okay. Using just one blanket, not even folded up that high under my head. I could flip this under a little bit and have that support my neck. A roll for the neck. And then I have my sandbags here. I'm going to put the sandbags over my shoulders. Life jacket pose. I could as well, if I didn't feel like I wanted this pressure on my shoulders, if I was okay without pressure there on my shoulders, I could lay sandbags across my ankles, over my shins or my lower legs. You can use a little weighted pressure there. You can use a little weighted pressure on the lower abdomen just to ground that lower back and that sacrum a little closer to the floor. But let's start here. Let's take the first several minutes lying down. So we may have been just activated a bit in the nervous system with the weather, with the storms, with the threat. That of an elevated threat of some serious weather. Observe your body, observe your breath, observe this state of your own nervous system. Let's take another couple of minutes here. If you're using sandbags on the shoulders, go ahead and remove those. If you're using them on your legs, leave them there until you're ready to come out of the legs up part of the pose. Let's take 2 or 3 more breaths. And we'll pull the knees forward. So if you have sandbags there, if you pull your knees forward, just let the sandbags fall wherever they fall. Bring your knees to your chest. And then take yourself side to side across your lower back. Okay, and then let's come from there onto your side. You press yourself up, and then we'll just do another slightly kind of longer hold supported restorative posture, where you'll want the soles of your feet together, your knees wide. So how we typically start our practice in Supta Baddha Konasana. And you can have any amount or type of elevated support behind your spine or your head, if you like that, if you like to be up a little bit. One blanket in my bolster. and a block. I'm going to be that elevated. And then I'll want to have a blanket to support my knees. So everything that you typically like to grab for this. Blocks are just as fine there. And then I think I'm just going to have one sandbag over my feet to stabilize my feet. So this will just help to kind of gently open the lower abdomen, the lower pelvis, and a little bit of some space. Open some space in the psoas, and the groins, and the lower abdominal and hip musculatures. Okay, let's go there. Let's take a few minutes there. And as you do, just make sure, once you're back, give it a little once over. Ensure that everything is as it needs to be as far as your comfort. So feel the weight of the shoulders fall. Feel in this pose a little more space across the upper chest, space between the breastbone, where the breastbone connects to the ribs. Feel some space under the collarbones, some length in your arms. Feel the weight of your arms. We do a lot of fast moving and racing around throughout the week, throughout the day, throughout the week. Even if that's not necessarily with your body, if you're not literally on the road, getting from one place to another, rushing from one thing to another, you might be, racing in your mind. Your work might pull the brain, the intellect into that same kind of speedy pulse. Body, mind, in that accelerated rhythm, which, elevates the sort of neurochemicals in the body, cortisol, your stress hormone, and adrenaline, which kind of gives you the energy to work and to move through that kind of pace. Can we take 1 hour a week? And undo some of the effects of that kind of speed with which we go through our lives. if you want to make any adjustments at this point to your props, just feel what it feels like to just reposition the blocks or blankets that are supporting the outer knees. So the knees can fall maybe a little wider, a little closer to the floor. Let's take another 2 or 3 breaths here. And so we'll come out, maybe take your arms up over your head just for a breath or two. Reach the thumbs together. Nice long stretch and pull upward, and then let that go. I'm gonna slide my feet out from underneath the sandbag. Legs extended, push out through your heels. I'm gonna set my blankets aside and roll off of my bolster to one side. And so let's come up from there. Set aside everything except one blanket. And we'll use the one blanket rolled up like a yoga mat. Just always know what's coming with this. But let's take it in a combination with what we sometimes do just as a shoulder release, where we start on the side. So I'm going to start with it fairly high, right? It's kind of right next to my chest, in line with my shoulder blade. We're going to keep the knees here. We're going to let the head fall. We're going to move that top hand just past the bottom hand, and then do this roll open across the chest. Let the arm go. We're starting with it pretty high up the back, usually about where we end. If this feels like not a comfortable position for your head or your neck, and you want to start lower, feel free to start lower and work your way up.
Reach way past that bottom hand with the top hand.
And then slide the hand back up along the entire length of the arm until the arms are wide. Then we want to come and lie on the other side, right? We'll lie on the opposite hip. And so you want to come maybe up, be a little bit easier to just bring yourself completely up and then bring yourself onto opposite side, way over at the edge of the blanket. And then begin again. Two more on this side. Return to your side to come up. Okay, and then we'll just move it to a different level, right? So you can, if you were started high, come down a level. If you started low, go ahead and move up a level. And we'll go through that, just using that same almost rotating motion, right? Where the legs will stay where they are on the floor, and you'll just, right, keep opening and closing and opening and closing. Come down or go up a level, change the level, but start again on your side. Both arms out in front of you, reach past and then open back up. Knees out in front of your hips. Just anything you feel like needs a little repositioning. Couple more here. Once more, returning to your side to come up move yourself onto your other side. Once more. All the way back over onto your side. Once again. Push the floor to come up. And then let's go from there to a supported child's pose. Okay, so we'll face the floor, bolster blankets between your knees. Again, if child's pose is contraindicated for your knees, if you have an issue with your knees going into that deep folding back kind of flexion, knees, any other forward fold, any other supported forward bend. So you could just do a nice kind of yin, very passive fold over your extended legs. Legs out in front of you, or a little straddle with your legs. Okay, and then I'm gonna see if I can hoist sandbag onto my low back. Child's pose, Balasana. Can support here the space between heels and hips. The hips don't really kind of release all the way onto their feet. And then a sandbag. Toes together, knees wide, child's pose.
Well, let's turn the head. You're resting on one cheek. Turn, rest your head in the opposite direction. Bring the head forward. Can you bring your hands up so that your forehead can rest on your hands? And stack fists if you like, rest your hands. Rest your head on your hands. Then we'll come up from there. In like a more neutral position. Set the knees and back aside. Set the bolster aside. Then come onto your back, turn to your back. Do a little more movement, just alternate some longer holds with some more dynamic somatic movement. So we'll take the right leg over the left leg and the right arm over the right arm. Eagle pose, Garudasana on your back, and then drop both knees to the right. Lift the knees, return to your standing foot, and then drop your knees again to the right. Return and do that 3 more times. And then unravel the arms, unravel the legs, come back to stand in your 2 feet briefly. Balance across the sacrum, across the lower back, and then cross left leg all the way over right leg. Left arm intertwine, left elbow over right elbow. Let both knees fall to the left. And we'll return, and then 4 more times. Unravel the arms. Back up onto right foot, uncross, and then extend both heels out, long legs. Arms away from your sides. Yeah, good. And then so let's take knees to chest for a moment, and then we are ready to come up. Bring yourself up from there, and I'm gonna modify the supported bridge pose just for my foot. You don't have to necessarily do this, but you'll have support under your sacrum. Then I'm gonna bring my chair back in. So instead of having my affected foot lower than my hip, when I extend that leg back out, I'm just gonna feed it through and just rest the ankle over the little under bar of my chair. So a block or bolster under your sacrum. Let's just start here. Take a few breaths. Take a few breaths before you extend a leg. Bring this in a little bit. Just gonna measure out and see where I need my chair. I'm gonna want my ankle to fall. And stand 2 feet on the floor and just take a moment, assess the position of your sacral support of whatever prop you're using to support your sacrum, support your pelvis. Oh. And then if you would like to extend a single leg, extend one leg. Should just be a very mild sensation of extension at the top of your hip, front of your hip. Switch legs here now, whenever you're ready to switch the extended leg, switch out to extended legs. Let's take another breath or two. Second side, second leg. Return both feet to the floor, and then if you're in the bolster, you might just pick up your feet and let your knees fall toward your chest. Push the bolster out from behind your back. And if you are in a block, just lift your hips. Pull the block out from one side or the other. And then rest with your knees. Just hold onto your knees. Not pull, you're not pulling hard. And toward your chest, just bring the hands to rest. Let the weight of your knees rest toward your chest. Mr. Boo. Wherever you are, take a twist here on your back. So maybe 5 breaths to each side, maybe 7, 8 breaths to each side. Let your knees fall, your arms go wide. Opposite side with your knees, your hips. all the way over onto the side where your knees, your legs, and your feet are. And then let's return once more to elevated legs. To close. So we will rest. This last pose, we will rest in. So once again, make sure you feel very comfortable, warm, well supported. I'm going to take the block and the blanket. Oh, I think there's one of those. And then I'm going to open a blanket just to lay over my feet up on the chair. That little rain front chilled the air a little bit. Elevated legs, right? You can go to a wall. Throw your legs up the wall. So the back of your hips on the back of the wall, on the wall, back of your hips on the wall. Or it's furniture. Rest. So we'll just take this last 6-7 minutes. Is there any tension? Is there any agitation or restlessness? Could we rest fully, completely? Watch the breath come and go. Constant. And begin lengthening and deepening your breath. Longer inhale, longer exhale. Maybe a long reach, a big reach of your arms over your head again. Pull your knees forward. And then rest on your side for another couple of breaths. Move yourself from your side to your seat. Pausing for a moment in your seat. Take a moment here and just reflect, observe before you move off into the rest of your day. Close our practice here. Then we'll close our practice here.